Hey everybody, it's James with the F150 YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do some wheel spacers on my 2013 Ford F150 stock. These trucks, the wheels are pretty sunken in on these, and I just want to give it a little bit more of an aggressive stance. You can see how much of a bread truck this thing looks like. I'm going to do a quick walk around just to show you guys how sunken in these things really are. From the factory, you can see I already got my wheels chalked up. But the spacers I have are 1.5 inch, just cheap eBay wheel spacers. I've actually had them on my last 3 cars and never really had an issue besides like a stripped lug nut or two, which the manufacturer's always replaced with basically no questions asked. So I'm going to show you guys my actual spacers here. So I just got these in last week. I think the key to a good set of wheel spacers, I know these are eBay ones, but the most important part that I've found out is to make sure that they're hub centric, and that means that they have a hub or a lip right here that actually matches the bore sizing of your vehicle. So your stock wheels or whatever wheels you're fitting fits this bore perfectly. I'm sure these are 6061 aluminum, but pretty nice, all blacked out. I've got the FX4, so it's all painted and blacked out, so I just kind of wanted to continue that theme. I've got a 1/2 inch impact, 21mm socket with an extension. I've got my lug nut tool here, as I already have some aftermarket lug nuts on the truck. Got the wheel spacers, of course, torque wrench, which I'll use at the end to torque down the lug nuts to 150 foot-pounds per the factory spec. And then I also have one thing I like to do, and it's kind of why I'm doing a DIY today on these, as wheel spacers are pretty simple to install, but I like to really take a wire brush to the hubs before I put the spacers on and clean them down with some brake clean. And then I actually like to apply like a thin coating of anti-seize lubricant, just that way if you ever need to take the spacers off in the future, they come off fairly easily. And because over time, especially for a daily driver here in Ohio, these things can basically weld themselves on and be a complete pain to take off. So I've got my jack stand and just a drain pan here as well, as I don't want to soak my driveway in brake clean. So I'm going to go ahead and jack the truck up and start taking the wheel off. One other quick thing I wanted to mention is that this impact should take care of these lug nuts, but if you're trying to do this by hand, I would recommend just slightly breaking all the lug nuts loose before you jack the car up, because it can be a real pain in the butt if you get the truck up in the air and the front wheel starts spinning when you try and break these loose, especially with the 150-pound wheel stud torque. Alright, I've got the truck jacked up. The jack stand is actually what the truck is sitting on. I do have the jack still there in place just in case, but I can't reiterate enough how important it is to make sure that you're using the proper equipment, and especially jack stands. I've had plenty kind of slip or move positions from where I've placed it, so just make sure that you're being safe when placing everything and working on any vehicle that you're working on. I'm going to go ahead and take this wheel off. I have an adapter here with these lug nuts. And see if this breaks this loose. Helps if I have it on reverse. I love this impact. the wheels will come off like that. Just all you got to do is just that. Just kind of beat around on the tire and different areas of the tire to get the brake disc. Just come right off. So this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys with the hub, especially at how nasty these can get, especially if you're in a salty or in an area that uses salt in the winter time or get any kind of rust. This one actually looks pretty good. This truck has 146,000 miles, I believe, and this still really doesn't look too bad. So I'm still going to go ahead and grab my wire wheel or my wire brush over here and give this thing a good clean, just so I have a nice clean surface to work from before I put on my anti-seize. I'm going to put the camera down here as I do this. Spray this thing off with some brake parts cleaner into my drip pan here. I'm going to let that dry here. I got a paper towel. I'm going to kind of use to wipe this down with. You want a nice clean surface before you put on your anti-seize. Actually, looks like these might be newer rotors. I just bought this truck a few months ago, so the mods are already beginning, as most of you can understand. I'm going to do a light coat here of, I'm using the Permatex aluminum anti-seize lubricant. I bought this can years ago and it's lasted this long. So put a nice light coat all the way around. The hub of the stock rotor. Just like that. I'll let my gloves off because this stuff absolutely gets everywhere if you don't. But I want to show you guys where I apply this stuff. So the wheel spacer, this inside lip here is actually what's going to sit on the hub of the truck. So that outer area is the area that I want to lubricate, because that's actually what's going to be touching the wheel spacer itself. Just like that. And these are, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but these are 1.5 inch wheel spacers. So it just slips on just like that. And these lug nuts that come with the spacers are actually where are going to go back on your stock studs here and tighten the spacer to the actual brake rotor slash hub. And you can see that these lug nuts are pretty short, and they need to be, because in order to fit the wheel over the spacer, you don't want your lug nuts protruding out and hitting the back of the wheel, because I've seen some where that's happened before. Now these I didn't check to see if the size of the key. Let's find out here. and it is not. I figured. So the stock size of the lug nuts is a 21 millimeter. These are probably a 21. I'm gonna run to the toolbox real quick and grab the correct socket. I'll be right. Alright, so I've got the truck back on the ground, and I'm going to go ahead and torque these down. Right one. Alright, that is on. The truck is on. You can really see how much further. An 1.5 inch spacer is a pretty good amount. And we're now, look, we're sticking past, I'd have to measure, but roughly about 1 inch. It looks way more aggressive. And here's the other side that I haven't done yet for a comparison. You can see how much spaced in it is. I'm going to go around and finish up and do the other 3. And then I will resume the video once I got everything, all the spacers installed, so I can kind of get an overall look of how it looked from before. Alright guys, spacers are on, torqued, and the wheels are back on and torqued. I know the truck's filthy. I actually changed the oil too. Just took it around for a test drive, and it drives good. I think it looks much better now than it did before. I actually feel like the rear possibly could have used a little bit more spacer. I really like the spacing on the front. Here's a view compared to the fender. I can actually see my tires sticking out a little bit in the rear view mirror while driving now. Here's the rears. You can see they stick out a tiny bit as well. I would say the rears are closer to a 1/2 inch, if not flush, with the fender flares. But overall, I'm happy. One other thing I wanted to mention too, before I close the video out, is the wheel stud sizing is M14 by 2. I just thought that might be handy for anybody that might need to know. Also, the hub bore on these 12th gen Fords, at least this is a 2013, the hub bore size is 87.1 millimeters. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Leave any comments if you guys like the video, or if you guys dislike the video. I'm always open for constructive feedback, and if you guys like the video, please hit that subscribe button. You guys have a good day.